What is ego? My name is edjcsmith. In this video, you're going to learn what is the ego, how to use it, how to harness it so you can create more, be more, and so you can live life on your terms. If that's what you want, this video is for you. Stay tuned. I'll see you on the other side. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what the ego is so you can understand it. It might for some be simplistic, it might be for some too simplistic, but appreciate where this is because there's lots of people talking about the ego, and in many ways I've studied ethics for many years, I've studied religion, I'm a qualified psychologist, I've spent a lot of years, I went to university in 1999, I teach psychology in many different areas. And so I want you to know that, of course, there's many people trying to make it complex. I want to give you something simple so you can use it and actually can understand it and actually learn more because of it. Are you ready? I'm excited. Number one, here you go. Definition of what the ego is how we identify with ourselves. So simplistically, what we believe about ourselves and our personal view on how we are perceived by the world. That is what the ego is. Now, of course, you have your body, which runs its systems. Your heart has a system, your energy has a system. So you have your body and you have your mind. Now, for some will say the mind is made up of different things. Think of your mind as your soul, your spirit, and this concept called your ego. Now, I like to think as the ego is linked to your beliefs, your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions, your rules in life. And so when we clash with someone else's ego, we're clashing with someone else's beliefs, thoughts, their values, their rules to the world. There's some sort of clash and there's some sort of wronging. Does that make sense? So number two, the second lesson I'm going to tell you about the ego, I'm going to give you Einstein's definition of the ego. Einstein said, ego equals lack of knowledge. Massive ego equals a massive lack of knowledge. So the more knowledge you increase, the less ego you have. And as simple as that, the more you learn, the less ego you have. There's a lot of people that have a large ego because they think they know one thing. And I spend a lot of time talking to people all over the world because they read one book or they did one lesson. And they think just because of that, it's the only way. Of course, as you learn more, you can criticize less and observe more. When you observe more, you learn more. And it's as simple as that. You know, people judge something because they don't understand it, they don't appreciate it, and it's different to what they're understanding. And that's where a lot of ego can come in place. So let's look at how do we dissolve that ego? How do we become more aware of that ego so that we can become more creative, we can become more aware, and we become more successful because of it? Because every successful person will ever tell you is that ego gets in the way of your success. A Sam Walton, who created Walmart, was very well famous for going around spending time with his competition because he wanted to learn what they knew. He wasn't someone that was so egoified. He wasn't someone so egoic to say, I'm too good for my competition, even though he was one of the richest men in the world at 160 billion dollars, excuse me. And so he had the humbleness to go around and say, what are my competition doing? And whether you're Branson, whether you're the Oprahs, whether you are the Steve Jobs, they're always very aware of the market. Ego, large ego is Blockbuster. They didn't see Netflix coming. They said, look, we own this market. If you don't know who Blockbuster is, they're the DVD rental market, and they were. However, what happened is they got eradicated. They got eradicated because their ego was too big, and they said, I've got this market, I know it. There's nothing that we can't do is wrong. And then what happened is Netflix came along, a more efficient service, more effective service, and a better customer focused service. Bang, Netflix, 72 million subscribers now, and eradicated Blockbuster because of its ego. Your ego will crush you. Your ego will destroy your success. So let's learn more about that ego, okay? Lesson number 3, super powerful. Your ego wants to put other people in place. Your ego wants to put other people wrong. Your ego wants to make things wrong. And so think about this. In order to understand your ego, you must put yourself into that other person's place and see yourself from their perspective. And that is when we get a true understanding of what our ego is saying, what our ego is doing, and what it's cultivating inside of us. So your ego wants to make every single thing wrong. And so think about that, and think about, where have you been judgmental? At the same time, number 4, we cannot become so delusioned by ourselves that we think that, we know it all. So it's the X Factor syndrome. When you see someone walking onto the X Factor stage, that talent show, and they absolutely are not in the right place, and they shouldn't be there. So you have to start increasing your awareness. You start having to take feedback around yourself. Don't be that person that walks up on stage just because your parents said you were great a singer, and then realize actually you're getting booed off the stage. So you have to increase your awareness. You have to find 10 people around you and say, give me some feedback on this skill. Where am I right now? Because we always are trying to, hypnotize ourselves to think that we are this person. So in order for us to grow, if you're into growth, if you're into learning, that's the key to self-improvement, to being a best version of yourself, is that you take other people's opinions on as they see your skill. So their perspective will give you a different angle to work on. And that is truly how you become great. No different to how Bill Gates produces a beautiful product. They brainstorm the products, they take those products through a specific team that pick it all apart so that it can grow stronger. Maybe put yourself in a room with 10 other people and ask them to give you feedback, or ask them to give you feedback on how they view you. Now that is powerful. Number 5, you've got to learn from what that ego is saying. If you reject someone, if you feel yourself getting an egoic reaction, then learn from it. What is that? What can you learn from that? Because that's beautiful information. I remember once I went to see a speaker about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was reacting really badly to how he was presenting. And what I realized, I was like, I must be reacting to something in myself. And I was reacting because he was super structured. And at that time I was very free flow as a presenter, and I realized maybe I should put more structure into my presentations at the time. And I thought, okay, cool, I'll do that. And what happened is actually I got better results with my clients, I got more effective seminars, and actually, it was a great thing I started doing that. And so if you're rejecting something or you find your ego kicking in, what is it that you can learn from? Because that is a beautiful lesson. The last final one, number 6, you have to become one. You have to start to react less. You have to detach from the emotion. When you can say, you know what, I totally am cool with the way you think, I appreciate you, I appreciate that you want to do this, and not react, then that's a cool place to, that's a space to be, that's a cool place to be, and that's what we call enlightenment, where you are truly comfortable around a range of people expressing their ideas, expressing their wants and their level of success, and you're not reacting in a negatively way. And that, if the world could get to a place with that, that would be a pretty cool space to be, that's for sure. So I want to finish this session really quickly. How often do you judge people? Is it daily? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? How often? Just write it down, take note. It's a beautiful question set. How often do you judge people? How open to new ideas, new thoughts, new beliefs are you? 1 to 10. 10, really open. 1, not open. Notice this scale. Notice, write it down. And I'll have the questions below as well. How happy are you for other people's success? 1 to 10. Again, this is not judging you. This doesn't define who you are. It just helps us to understand where you are so you can increase where you are to where you want to be. Does that make sense? But where are you on this scale? 1 to 10. How happy are you for other people's success? 1 to 10. Give yourself a score. Don't play hard to get with me. And how humble are you? How much learning do you do every single day? 1 to 10. How humble are you? 10. I'm reading every single day. I'm learning every single day. I'm open. When people say, this and that, I'll take on that feedback. I'll adopt it. I'll adjust. I'll be flexible. How open are you? 1, you're not doing the reading. You're not doing the learning. You're not actively increasing your mind. 1 to 10, where are you right now so that you can increase where you want to be? Does that make sense? Okay, quick recap. Are you ready? Number 1, ego is how we identify with ourselves. Number 2, Einstein's definition, ego equals lack of knowledge. More knowledge equals less ego. Simple. The more knowledge you have, the less ego you have. The less knowledge you have, the bigger ego that you have. Number 3, your ego wants to make things wrong, put people in their place. How do we dissolve that? Put ourselves in their place so we can see it from their perspective. Number 4, X factor syndrome. Don't be delusional. Get some feedback. Put yourself in a room of 10 people and ask them to give you a sign, give you a score, and give you some feedback on your skills, on you as a person. That's how you take growth to a whole different level, Number 5, you must learn from your ego, learn from what it's telling you. If you reject something, if you're feeling an egoic reaction, learn from that. What is it? Write it down and learn from that, and you will be super strong. Number 6, become one. Detach from those emotions. Stop rejecting. Just learn again and just become one in harmony so you can be around people, so they can appreciate people's beliefs, thoughts, ideas. And if we could all as a human race get to that sort of level of consciousness where we can accept each other for thinking different, for thinking beliefs, then we wouldn't have the problems that we do today. So, my friends, as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. If you do want to learn more, be more, create more, live life on your terms, then I'll see you soon, and hopefully one day at a live event, I'll get to catch up with you. Till next time.